Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants success, the money, the lifestyle, the recognition. But let me tell you something. Winning is not an accident. Winning is not luck. Winning is not something that happens overnight. Winning is the result of discipline, sacrifice, and relentless commitment. The winning secret isn't about talent. It's about heart, consistency, and focus. You can't win at anything in life until you first develop the hunger for it. That's the foundation. That's the spark that ignites everything else. People think talent is the secret, that somehow the most gifted always come out on top. But I've seen people with incredible talent sit on the sidelines because they never developed the desire to truly go after it. Desire is the fuel, the fire, the thing inside your chest that makes you want it so badly that nothing and nobody can talk you out of it. Without that, all the skills in the world mean nothing. And when I say desire, I don't mean a wish. I don't mean a casual thought like, yeah, it would be nice to be successful. I'm talking about a deep craving, the kind that keeps you awake at night, the kind that gets you up before the alarm clock, the kind that drives you even when you're exhausted and everything around you telling you to quit. See, the truth is everybody says they want to win. But when the pressure comes, when the pain hits, when the work becomes uncomfortable, most people tap out. The difference between the winner and the one who falls short is that the winner wanted it more. They had that inner flame, that burning desire that refused to let them quit. Think about it. The people who make it to the top, whether it's in sports, business, or life, aren't always the most naturally talented. Some of them didn't even start with the right resources. But what they did have was a hunger that couldn't be satisfied with anything less than victory. That hunger made them push past excuses, push past rejection, push past failure. Because when you want something bad enough, no obstacle is big enough to stop you. And let me be real with you, desire is not something someone else can give you. Nobody can light that fire for you. You can hear a motivational speech. You can watch someone else win. You can even be inspired by other people's stories. But at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself how badly you want it. You've got to cultivate that fire. That's why you see people who start off average, but over time surpass the ones who were supposed to be the chosen ones. The difference is that they woke up every day with desire in their hearts. They didn't care about looking cool. They didn't care about staying comfortable. They didn't care about taking the easy road. Their desire demanded effort, and they gave it. When you have desire, it changes the way you move. You stop making excuses because your desire is bigger than your excuse. You stop worrying about how long it takes because your desire is greater than the timeline. You stop waiting for people to clap for you because your desire is stronger than the need for approval. That's what people don't understand. When you really want it, nothing can distract you. Nothing can pull you away from your mission. You can put me in the worst condition. You can take away my resources. But if my desire is still alive, I will find a way to get back up and fight. Because desire makes you resourceful, desire makes you creative, desire makes you relentless. Some of you keep losing because your desire isn't strong enough. You want it when it's convenient. You want it when it's comfortable. You want it when it doesn't cost you anything. But when it requires sacrifice, when it requires staying up late or waking up early, when it requires you to step away from distractions, your desire disappears. That's not real hunger. That's just interest. Winners are not interested. They are obsessed. They are obsessed. Their desire consumes them. They can't stop thinking about it. They can't stop working toward it. They can't stop until they see it come to life. And if you don't have that level of desire, I promise you, the person who does will pass you up. Desire is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what separates the almost from the achievers. Think about the times in your life when you wanted something more than anything else. Maybe it wasn't money. Maybe it wasn't money. Maybe it wasn't a career goal. Maybe it was just proving to yourself that you could do something. Remember that fire you felt? Remember how everything else seemed small compared to that one thing? That's what it takes to win consistently. You gotta live with that kind of hunger every single day. It's not enough to feel it once in a while. You gotta feed that desire. Keep it alive. Because life will try to smother it, Doubt will try to smother it. Fear will try to smother it. People around you who don't believe in you will try to smother it. But if your desire is strong, you won't let anything put out that flame. And let me tell you something. Desire doesn't care about circumstances. Some of the greatest winners came from nothing. They didn't have the best schools. They didn't have the best coaches. They didn't have the best resources, but they had desire. And that desire pushed them to create opportunity where none existed. It's easy to blame your situation. It's easy to say you don't have what somebody else has. But the truth is, desire doesn't care. If you want it badly enough, you'll figure out how to make it happen. You'll find the mentors. You'll study the game. You'll put in the hours. You'll sacrifice the distractions. That's the power of desire. It makes you unstoppable because you refuse to accept defeat as an option. And understand this, desire is tested every day. Life will put you in situations to see if you really want it. When you face rejection, that's a test. When you fail, that's a test. When you feel like you're not making progress, that's a test. And every time you keep going, every time you refuse to quit, your desire grows stronger. Winners don't run from the test. They embrace it because they know that each test is shaping them into who they need to be to hold the victory they're chasing. You can't claim to want something and then walk away when it gets hard. That's not desire, that's convenience. Real desire shows itself when you keep moving forward, even when everything in you says quit. So let me challenge you. How bad do you want it? Do you want it enough to wake up earlier than you're used to? Do you want it enough to say no to the parties, the distractions, the wasted time? Do you want it enough to push through rejection after rejection until you find that one breakthrough? Do you want it enough to keep grinding for a year when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping, when nobody is clapping, when nobody even believes in you? Because that's what it takes. If your desire isn't that strong, you will settle, you will compromise, you will quit. But if your desire is that deep, that unshakable, then nothing will stop you. The truth is, winning doesn't start on the field, in the boardroom, or on the stage. Winning starts in your heart. It starts with desire. Long before anyone sees your results, long before anyone praises you, long before you ever hold the prize, it's desire that pushes you through the unseen hours, the long nights, the lonely moments. It's desire that keeps you practicing when nobody else is around. It's desire that keeps you studying when you're tired. It's desire that keeps you believing when the evidence says you should. And when you finally win, people will look at you and say you're lucky, or you're talented, or you're special. But you'll know the truth. The truth is you wanted it more. That's the winning secret, desire over everything. Discipline is the line that separates the winners from everybody else. Motivation feels good, but it doesn't last. Discipline is the force that makes you get up when the bed feels too comfortable. It's the voice that tells you to keep going when your body wants to quit. It's the anchor that keeps you steady when your emotions are all over the place. See, most people wait until they feel like doing something before they move. And that's why they lose. They're controlled by their feelings, by their moods, by whether the weather is nice or whether people are watching them. But winners, they don't care about feelings, they care about commitments. Discipline means you do it regardless of how you feel, because you already decided that the mission is bigger than your emotions. When you rely on motivation, you'll be inconsistent. Some days you'll be fired up and you'll give 100%. But on the days when motivation isn't there, you'll fall back into old habits. That's why discipline beats motivation every single time. Discipline is consistency, and consistency is what creates progress. You don't get strong from one workout. You don't build wealth from one paycheck. You don't master a skill from one practice session. Winning is about what you do repeatedly, day after day, until the habit becomes who you are. Motivation will spark the action, but discipline keeps the fire burning long after the spark has faded. Think about the people who accomplish great things. They are not operating off of daily hype. They are operating off of discipline. They have routines, they have standards, they have rules they don't break. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like doing it? They say, but doing needs to be done. That's the secret. Winners train themselves to push past feelings. They train themselves to ignore excuses. They know that if they live by their feeling, they'll never get anywhere, because feelings are inconsistent, but discipline is permanent. Discipline is also about building trust with yourself. When you say you're gonna wake up at 5 in the morning and you actually do it, you build confidence. When you say you're going to study, to practice, to work, and you follow through, you start believing in your own word. But when you break promises to yourself, when you hit snooze, when you skip the work, you destroy that trust. And when you don't trust yourself, you'll never push as hard as you can because deep down, you know you're not dependable. Winners build discipline so strong that their word to themselves is unshakable. If they say they'll do it, it's already done. That's why they win, because they can count on themselves when it matters most. And discipline doesn't just show up in the big moments. It's in the small daily choices. It's in choosing to drink water instead of soda. It's in choosing to read instead of scrolling endlessly. It's in choosing to put in one more rep when you could have quit. Discipline is not one dramatic action. It's 1,000 small decisions stacked on top of each other that, over time, build a life of excellence. That's why people underestimate discipline. They think it's boring, they think it's strict, but in reality, it's freeing. Because when you are disciplined, you don't have to waste energy deciding every day what to do. You already know, you already set the standard. You just follow through. A lot of people don't realize that discipline is actually what creates freedom. People think discipline is about restriction, about not having fun, but in reality, discipline frees you. If you are disciplined with your money, you have the freedom to live without debt. If you are disciplined with your health, you have the freedom to enjoy life without sickness holding you back. If you are disciplined in your craft, you have the freedom to create opportunities that others can only dream of. Discipline is the road to freedom, and lack of discipline is the road to bondage. That's the difference. Winners are disciplined because they understand that the short-term discomfort leads to long-term liberty. And let's be honest, discipline hurts. It's not easy. Nobody said it would be. Waking up before sunrise, hitting the gym when your body is sore, studying when you're tired, working when you rather play. It hurts, but that pain is temporary. The results that come from discipline last forever. On the flip side, skipping the hard work might feel good now, but the regret that comes later is much heavier. Winners choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. That's why they succeed. They're willing to suffer a little now to enjoy the reward later, while others chase comfort now and suffer the consequences later. Another thing about discipline, it makes you reliable in the eyes of others. People know they can count on you because they've seen your consistency. Discipline earns respect. Discipline earns opportunities. Doors open for disciplined people because the world knows they'll show up, they'll do the work, they'll deliver even under pressure. You can't fake discipline. It shows in your habits. It shows in your results. It shows in the way you live. People might argue about your talent, but nobody can argue about your discipline because it's visible every single day. Discipline also sharpens your character. It teaches patience, it teaches self-control, it teaches perseverance. When you practice discipline, you train yourself to delay gratification, to hold back from short-term pleasures for long-term rewards. That's what separates those who win from those who almost win. Most people want everything quick and easy, but winners understand that nothing great comes overnight. Discipline is what allows you to keep working silently while others are distracted. And when the results finally come, people call it overnight success. But you know it was years of discipline that nobody saw. And here's the truth. Discipline is contagious. When you live a disciplined life, the people around you see it, and it inspires them. Your family sees it, your friends see it, your teammates see it. Discipline becomes part of your culture. It creates lasting success. But it starts with you making that personal decision. No matter how I feel, no matter what's going on, I'm going to keep my commitments. I'm going to honor my word. I'm going to do the work. Once that decision is made, everything else becomes easier because you're not negotiating with yourself every day. You've already decided. If you want to win, you've got to stop waiting for motivation to show up. Motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Discipline is a permanent resident. Discipline shows up every day, on time, ready to work, whether you feel like it or not. If you build your life on discipline, you can handle anything. Because no matter what's happening external, you know you'll still show up and do what needs to be done. That's the difference between those who try and those who win. Winners build their lives on discipline, and that's why when motivation fades, they keep moving forward while everyone else falls behind. So stop depending on how you feel. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop looking for external hype. Build discipline. Train yourself to do what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. That's the real secret. That's the edge. And once you master it, there's nothing and no one that can keep you from winning. Sacrifice is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to win. But the truth is, very few are willing to give up the things that are holding them back. That's why most people never make it. They want to keep their comfort and still reach greatness. They want to live like everyone else and still have what only the few at the top have. But winning doesn't work like that. Success demands sacrifice. You can't have both comfort and greatness at the same time. At some point, you've got to decide what matters more to you. The people who win are the ones who are willing to put something valuable on the line today for the sake of something greater tomorrow. The problem with most people is they love the idea of success, but they hate the costs. They talk about wanting to be great, but when it comes to letting go of late nights, letting go of distraction, letting go of the things that bring short-term pleasure, they can't do it. They want the prize without the process. They want the rewards without the responsibilities. But life doesn't work like that. Every champion, every leader, every person who has done something extraordinary has paid a price that others were not willing to pay. Sacrifice is the separating factor. It's the filter that divides those who wish from those who wish from those who win. Sacrifice means you don't get to do everything you want right now. It means saying no when others are saying yes. It means choosing discipline over comfort, hard work over ease, long-term growth over short-term fun. And it hurts. Let's be real. It hurts to sacrifice. It hurts to give up sleep when your body craves it. It hurts to give up entertainment when your friends are enjoying it. It hurts to put in hours of unseen work while others are living carefree. But the pain of sacrifice is temporary, and the reward that comes from it is permanent. The people who can endure that temporary pain are the ones who hold the trophy in the end. Think about the athlete who wakes up at 4 a.m. to train while everyone else is still in bed. Think about the entrepreneur who works weekends, skipping vacations, investing every dollar into the vision while others are out spending theirs. Think about the student who spends nights in the library while friends are out partying. Sacrifice looks crazy in the moment, but it makes perfect sense when the results show up. When you're standing on the stage, when you're living your dream, when you're providing for your family at a level you never thought possible, sacrifice doesn't feel like loss. It feels like the greatest investment you ever made. The truth is, sacrifice is not about losing, it's about exchanging. You're not just giving something up for nothing. You're trading something lesser for something greater. You're giving up comfort for growth. You're giving up temporary pleasures for lasting success. You're giving up what doesn't serve your purpose for what aligns with it. But the challenge is that the reward of sacrifice doesn't always come immediately. That's why most people quit. They want instant gratification. Winners understand that sacrifice is about delayed gratification. They're willing to suffer now so they can shine later. That's what makes them different. They don't mind waiting. They don't mind grinding in silence because they know the outcome is worth it. Worth it. Sacrifice also reveals how badly you want it. It's easy to say, I want to win. But the real test is, what are you willing to give up to win? If you want success, but you're not willing to sacrifice sleep. If you want success, but you're not willing to sacrifice comfort. If you want success, but you're not willing to sacrifice distractions, then you don't really want it. You just like the idea of it. Winners prove their desire by their willingness to sacrifice. They understand that the greater the vision, the greater the sacrifice required. They don't run from that reality, they embrace it because they know the sacrifice is shaping them into the person capable of holding the victory. And let's be clear, sacrifice is not just about the external things, like giving up time or money. It's also about internal sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your pride, sacrifice your ego, sacrifice your old habits, sacrifice your comfort zones. Sometimes the biggest sacrifice is letting go of the version of yourself that's holding you back. You can't keep clinging to your old mindset, your old excuses, your old ways of doing things, and expect to step into a new level of success. Sacrifice requires you to shed the old so you can step into the new. And that process is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Another thing about sacrifice is that it's not a one-time thing, it's ongoing. Winning isn't about one big sacrifice you make once and then you're done. It's about making sacrifices consistently over time. Every day, you're faced with choices. Do I do what's easy or do I do what's right? Do I follow the crowd or do I stay focused on my path? Do I indulge in the now or invest in the future? Winners make the tough choice again and again. They build a lifestyle of sacrifice, and that lifestyle eventually builds them into champions. Sacrifice becomes second nature, part of who they are. And that's why success follows them. People will look at you when you're sacrificing and they won't understand. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you're too serious. They'll say you're missing out. But what they don't realize is that while they're enjoying today, you're building tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, when your sacrifices produce results that their comfort never could, the same people who doubted you will call you lucky. They'll envy the results but never recognize the sacrifices behind them. And that's the reality of sacrifice. It's invisible while you're doing it, but undeniable when the results come. Sacrifice also teaches you gratitude. When you've had to give things up, when you've had to struggle, when you've had to pay a price, you appreciate success on a different level. You don't take it for granted. You value every opportunity, every blessing, every victory because you know what it cost you. That gratitude keeps you humble, keeps you grounded, keeps you working. People who've never sacrificed don't value success the same way. They waste it, they lose it because they never had to pay for it. But when you sacrifice, success is precious and you guard it with everything you've got. Here's the bottom line. There is no winning without sacrifice. If you're not willing to give something up, you're not ready to move forward. You can't carry everything with you and expect to climb. At some point, you've got to let go of the weight, let go of the comfort, let go of the unnecessary, and focus only on what matters. Sacrifice is the cost of admission to greatness. And the bigger your dream, the bigger the price. Don't fear it. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Because the sooner you're willing to sacrifice, the sooner you'll experience the rewards. Consistency is the glue that holds success together. Anybody can show up once. Anybody can grind for a week. Anybody can give effort for a short burst of time. But the people who actually win, the ones who rise above everyone else, are the ones who do it over and over and over and over again. That's what separates the talkers from the doers. That's what separates those who wish from those who win. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not exciting most of the time. It's often boring, repetitive, and thankless. But that's the truth about greatness. It's built in the mundane, in the small daily actions that nobody claps for, in the hours when nobody's watching. The world sees the highlight moments, but those moments are only possible because of the thousands of invisible, consistent steps taken beforehand. Most people fail not because they lack talent, not because they lack resources, but because they lack consistency. They can start strong, but they don't finish. They can show up when it feels good, but they disappear when it gets hard. They are seasonal workers in the pursuit of their dream. They treat success like a mood, something they engage in only when it feels right. But winners know that consistency has nothing to do with mood and everything to do with commitment. When you are consistent, you do what needs to be done no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on around you, no matter who's watching. That's why consistency is power. It turns average ability into extraordinary results simply by multiplying effort over time. Think about it. One workout won't transform your body. One book won't make you wise. One practice session won't make you a master. But if you repeat those things daily, the compound effect kicks in. Small, consistent actions stack up to massive results. Winners understand this. They don't chase quick fixes. They don't get fooled by overnight success stories because they know that real success is built brick by brick, day by day. They keep showing up, laying one more brick until eventually they build something massive. To everyone else, it looks sudden, but to them, it's just the natural result of consistency. Consistency is also about discipline. You can't be consistent without first deciding that your word means something. Every time you show up, you reinforce your identity. You're telling yourself, I am the kind of person who keeps going, who doesn't quit, who finishes what I start. And the opposite is true too. Every time you break your word, every time you fail to follow through, you weaken your identity. You train yourself to believe that you can't rely on you. Consistency is more than just action. It's character. It's about becoming a person who can be trusted, not only by others, but by yourself. That's why the people who are consistent have a quiet confidence about them. They know that no matter what comes their way, they'll handle it because they've proven it to themselves through repeated action. And the thing about consistency is that it doesn't always give you immediate feedback. You can be doing the right thing for weeks, months, sometimes years without seeing the result you want. That's where most people quit. They think if they don't see instant results, it's not working. But winners understand that consistency is an investment, not a gamble. Just because you don't see the return right away doesn't mean the work is wasted. Every repetition, every effort, every consistent step is a deposit into the bank of success. Eventually, those deposits add up, and one day the results show up in a way that surprises everybody else. But you won't be surprised, because you know exactly how much work you've been putting in all along. Consistency also builds resilience. When you show up every day, even when it's hard, you toughen yourself. You develop mental muscles that allow you to push through obstacles. It's easy to keep going when everything is smooth, but true consistency is tested when life gets messy, when you face setbacks, when nothing seems to be working. Winners don't let those moments break their rhythm. They adjust if needed, but they don't stop. That's why consistency is so powerful. It creates a momentum that's hard to break. Once you built the habit of showing up, it becomes second nature. It's not about motivation anymore, it's about identity. You don't need to think about whether you'll do it, you just do it, because that's who you are now. Consistency also builds credibility. When people see you show up day after day, they start to trust you. They start to respect you. They know you're not just talk, you're action. That credibility opens doors, it attracts opportunity, it builds relationships. People don't invest in the one who shows up once in a while. They invest in the one who has proven themselves over time. Whether it's in business, sports, or personal life, consistency makes you reliable. And reliability is rare, which is why it's so valuable. The challenge with consistency is that it often feels invisible. Nobody cheers you on for waking up early every day. Nobody gives you a medal for practicing when nobody is watching. Nobody celebrates your sacrifices while you're in the middle of. And that's why it's so difficult. Because it requires you to believe in a result you can't yet see. It requires faith. It requires vision. Winners don't need the crowd to clap for them every step of the way because they've already decided that showing up is non-negotiable. They clap for themselves by putting in the work. They understand that applause comes later, after the consistency has built the success. Consistency also protects you from excuses. When you make consistency a lifestyle, you stop waiting for perfect conditions. You don't need everything to be lined up. You don't need the right weather, the right mood, the right support. You just do it because that's the standard you set. It sets the standard you set. People who lack consistency always have excuses. Too tired, too busy, too stressed. Winners hear those same excuses, but they don't accept them. They know that excuses destroy progress, but consistency builds it. That's why they're relentless about keeping their routines intact. They refuse to let life's interruptions derail them. There's another thing consistency does. It compounds your confidence. The more consistent you are, the more evidence you gather that you can be trusted to show up. And when you believe in yourself, you become unstoppable. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack belief. Consistency builds belief. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you strengthen that belief. Every time you stay on course when it would have been easier to quit, you remind yourself of your strength. That confidence carries into every area of life because you know that if you've been consistent before, you can be consistent again, no matter what challenges come. Consistency also forces growth. When you do something every day, you can't help but improve. Even if the progress is slow, it's still progress. Every repetition sharpens you. Every effort refines you. Every failure teaches you. Over time, the growth becomes undeniable. People will look at you and think you made a sudden leap, but you'll know it was consistency all along. That's why winners don't worry about being the best overnight. They just focus on being a little better every day. And eventually, their consistency makes them great. But here's the truth. You won't always feel like being consistent. There will be days when you're tired, days when you're discouraged, Days when it feels pointless. That's when consistency matters most. Anyone can show up when it's easy. True champions show up when it's hard. That's the difference. Consistency in the hard times builds a toughness that nothing else can. And when you come out on the other side, you're not just successful, you're unbreakable. At the end of the day, consistency is about making a decision. Either you're going to be the type of person who follows through, or you're going to be the type of person who gives up when it's inconvenient. You can't be both. Winners choose consistency. They choose it even when it's boring, even when it's lonely, even when it's painful, because they know that's the price of greatness. And when the results finally come, when the dream finally becomes reality, the consistency that felt so invisible becomes visible in the most undeniable way possible. That's why consistency is the real secret. It doesn't make headlines, it doesn't give you instant praise, but it's the foundation of everything. Talent will fade without consistency. Motivation will disappear without consistency. Opportunity will pass by without consistency. But with it, you can build anything, achieve anything, become anything. Because consistency multiplied over time is unstoppable. And when you master it, winning becomes not just possible, it becomes inevitable. Success is not born out of convenience. It is forged in consistency. The people who win in life are not necessarily the most talented, the most intelligent, or the most gifted. They are the ones who show up day after day, rain or shine, and keep doing what needs to be done even when they don't feel like it. Consistency is the quiet force that builds momentum, the steady grind that turns ordinary efforts into extraordinary results. Think about it. No champion, no leader, no world changer ever rose to greatness through occasional effort. They rose because they were consistent in their pursuit, relentless in their discipline, and unshaken by setbacks. The secret to winning is not doing something amazing once. It's doing the right things over and over again until the results speak for themselves. Consistency doesn't always look exciting. In fact, sometimes it looks boring. It's waking up early when no one else is watching. It's choosing to train even when your body aches. It's practicing your craft when others are distracted by entertainment. It's the repetitive, sometimes monotonous actions that compound over time. That's why so many people fail to embrace it, because it doesn't always give instant gratification. The world today is addicted to quick fixes and overnight success. But real winners understand that slow, steady, and consistent action beats short bursts of inspiration every single time. Imagine planting a seed. You don't put it in the soil, water it once, and expect a tree the next morning. You water it every day, you protect it, you nurture it, and even when nothing seems to be happening, you stay consistent. Eventually, roots grow deep, a sprout breaks through the ground, and over time it becomes a tree. That's exactly how consistency works in life. You may not see the results right away, but beneath the surface, growth is taking place. Every repetition, every action, every disciplined step is building something greater. Think of athletes like Kobe Bryant. He wasn't just great because he had talent. There are plenty of talented players who never made it big. He was great because he was consistent. He practiced relentlessly, showing up earlier and leaving later than everyone else. He repeated drills so many times that excellence became second nature. That level of consistency is what separated him from the rest. Talent without consistency is wasted potential, but consistency can elevate even average talent into greatness. The same applies outside of sports. In business, the entrepreneur who consistently learns, adapts, and works on their vision outpaces the one who only works when motivated. In relationships, the person who consistently shows love, respect, and effort builds stronger bonds than the one who only acts when it's convenient. In health, the one who consistently makes better food choices and commits to exercise, even in small ways, achieves far more than the one who crashes into intense diets and workouts only to give up after a few weeks. Consistency doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. But consistency doesn't come easy. It requires discipline. And discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. Everybody says they want success, but wanting is not enough. You've got to keep pushing when the excitement fades, when the applause stops, when the journey gets hard. That's where most people quit. They stop being consistent the moment results aren't visible, not realizing that the breakthrough was just a little further down the road. Winners keep showing up because they understand that consistency compounds. Each small step builds upon the last, stacking up until suddenly there's undeniable progress. Let's take the example of someone learning a new skill, say playing the guitar. If they practice for 5 hours one day and then don't touch it again for a month, they won't see much progress. But if they practice just 30 minutes every single day over weeks and months, their skill level grows dramatically. That's the power of consistency. It's not about occasional intensity, it's about sustained effort. The same principle applies to reading, writing, saving money, or building a business. Small, consistent actions lead to massive outcomes. Consistency also builds trust, both with yourself and with others. When you stay consistent with your goal, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. That builds confidence and self-respect because you know you can keep promises you make to yourself. Others notice too, whether it's in business, friendships, or family. People respect and depend on those who are consistent. Nobody wants to work with someone who's unpredictable and unreliable. Consistency establishes credibility, and credibility attracts opportunities. Another truth about consistency is that it outlasts motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you'll feel on fire, ready to conquer the world, but other days you won't feel like doing anything at all. If you only act when motivated, your progress will always be unstable. Consistency means you act regardless of feelings. Winners don't wait for the right mood. They create the right habits and let those habits carry them. Once something becomes a habit, it no longer depends on how you feel. It becomes who you are. Consistency also develops resilience. Life will throw challenges, distractions, and disappointments your way, but when you're consistent, you learn how to keep moving no matter what. You may stumble, you may fall, but you get back up and keep going. Each act of consistency strengthens your perseverance muscle, making you more equipped to face the next obstacle. In time, that resilience becomes your competitive edge. The world is full of people who start strong but fade away. Winners are those who endure because they stay consistent. There's also a spiritual element to consistency. When you consistently show up, you align yourself with the laws of sowing and reaping. The universe rewards those who persist, who honor the process, who keep planting seeds of effort. Breakthroughs often come not at the beginning, but after long seasons of unseen work. That's why winners understand that consistency is not just about doing things, it's about becoming someone. It transforms your character, your mindset, and your entire identity. And here's the beautiful thing. Consistency doesn't require you to be perfect. You will have off days, you will make mistakes, you will face setbacks. But as long as you return to the path and keep pressing forward, consistency will still produce results. It's not about never falling, it's about always getting back up. Progress is not linear, but consistency ensures that the overall direction is forward. When you look at people who seem to achieve the impossible, it often boils down to this. They simply refused to stop. They were consistent when others gave up. They repeated the right actions long enough for success to become inevitable. Consistency is the great equalizer. You may not control how much talent you were born with, but you control how consistent you are. And that control can turn you into a winner. So if you want the winning secret, here it is. Be consistent. Not just for a week, not just when it's easy, not just when you feel inspired. Be consistent always. Show up every day. Put in the work. Honor the process. Over time, consistency will separate you from the crowd, build unstoppable momentum, and transform your dreams into reality. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Consistency is the heartbeat of champions, the rhythm of success, and the quiet force that makes winning not just possible, but inevitable. The winning secret often lies in the discipline to show up consistent, even when you don't feel like it, even when the circumstances are not favorable, and even when the results aren't immediately visible. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunities, but because they fail to master consistency. Think about it. You don't get strong by going to the gym once in a while. You don't build a business by working on it only when you feel inspired. And you don't master your craft by practicing occasionally. Success is built brick by brick, day after day, with small, disciplined actions repeated until they become habits. The greatest victories in life are not the result of one big moment. They're the product of showing up every single day and stacking wins, no matter how small, until momentum carries you forward. Consistency requires you to align your actions with your vision, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Feelings are temporary, they change with weather, mood, or circumstance, but discipline is permanent, and discipline is what fuels consistency. When you choose to act based on discipline rather than emotion, you begin to create a rhythm that compounds over time. That's where growth happens. Think of a musician who practices their instrument every day, even on the days they don't feel creative. It is that steady daily practice that develops mastery. So when the spotlight comes, they're ready. Similarly in life, if you're waiting for motivation to push you, you'll always fall short. You'll always fall short because motivation comes and goes. But consistency doesn't wait for motivation. It's a choice you make over and over again, regardless of circumstance. One of the reasons consistency is so powerful is because it builds trust, not just with others, but also with yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you follow through day after day, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. You build a reputation with yourself that you can depend on you. And once you develop that kind of self-trust, your confidence grows. You no longer hesitate when faced with challenges because you've seen yourself do the work consistently before, and you know you can do it again. This self-trust is crucial because if you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter how many others believe in you. You'll always sabotage your potential. Consistency is the silent builder of belief, a steady reinforcement that you can handle when life throws at you. Another truth about consistency is that it produces compound results. Just like money invested grows through compound interest, consistent actions multiply their effect over time. Reading 10 pages a day may not feel like much, but do it every day for a year, and you've read several books that can transform your thinking. Doing a few push-ups every day may not change you overnight, but stick with it for months, and your strength increases noticeably. Writing a little bit each morning may not feel significant, but after a year, you could have a book written. The problem is that many people underestimate the power of these small daily actions and overestimate the power of rare big action. They wait for the big break, the massive opportunity, the sudden change. But the real breakthrough comes from doing the small, seemingly insignificant things consistently until they yield massive results. Consistency also sets you apart because most people don't stick with anything long enough to see results. They start strong, fueled by excitement. But when the excitement fades and challenges appear, they quit. This creates a cycle of starting over again and again without progress. Winners, however, break that cycle by refusing to stop. They understand that progress often feels slow, sometimes invisible, but they trust the process enough to keep going. And while everyone else gives up, the consistent ones keep building, and eventually they stand out because they're still standing when others are gone. Think of athletes who train off season while their peers slack off, or entrepreneurs who keep pushing their business forward, while others quit after the first year. Consistency is a separator, the quiet difference maker that ensures you outlast your competition. But consistency is not easy. It requires structure and intentionality. You can't rely on willpower alone because willpower gets exhausted. Instead, you must build systems and routines that support your consistency. For example, if you want to exercise consistently, you set a fixed time each day, prepare your clothes in advance, and eliminate excuses. If you want to write consistently, you set a word goal, create a distraction-free environment, and commit to showing up even if the words don't flow easily. By designing your life around habits and systems, you reduce the friction that often causes inconsistency. The most successful people don't just hope to be consistent. They engineer their environments and schedules so consistency becomes almost automatic. Consistency also teaches patience, and patience is a virtue every winner must possess. We live in a world obsessed with instant results, quick money, quick fame, quick success. But true greatness doesn't work on shortcuts. It requires you to sow seeds faithfully and wait for the harvest in due time. Consistency trains you to endure the waiting, to keep watering the seeds even when you don't see immediate growth. It builds resilience because you learn that progress is not always visible, but it's always happening. The days you show up, even when it feels pointless, are the days that strengthen your character and prepare you for the day when results finally appear. The fruit of consistency is often delayed, but when it comes in abundance. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about consistency is how it transforms identity. When you do something consistently, it becomes who you are, not just what you do. If you run every morning, eventually you stop seeing yourself as someone trying to be fit. You start identifying as a runner. If you read daily, you stop seeing yourself as someone trying to learn. You see yourself as a learner. That identity shift is powerful because it locks in your behavior. When your actions become part of your identity, quitting is no longer an option because it will contradict who you believe yourself to be. Winners know this secret. They don't just do consistent actions. They become consistent people. In the end, the secret of winning isn't found in dramatic gestures or monumental efforts. It's in the quiet, steady choice to keep going day after day with unwavering consistency. It's not glamorous, and often it goes unnoticed, but it's the backbone of every victory story. The athlete who trains in the dark before the lights of the big game, the student who studies night after night before the big exam, the entrepreneur who works tirelessly on their vision before anyone believes in it, because they chose consistency over comfort, process over instant gratification, discipline over fleeting emotion. That's the true secret. Success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. And when you master consistency, winning becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Winning in life is not always about the resources you start with, but rather about the resourcefulness you are willing to develop along the way. Many people convince themselves that they can't win because they don't have the money, the support, the right connections, or the perfect circumstances. But the truth is, the people who make it to the top, the ones who change their lives and achieve great things, often begin with very little. They don't have all the tools or the answers at the start, but what they do have is the ability to maximize whatever they are given. Resourcefulness is the skill of creating opportunities where others see none, of turning disadvantages into advantages, and of figuring out a way when there seems to be no way. It's not about how much you have in your hands, but how much creativity and determination you bring to the table with what you have. Think about the greatest inventions and businesses in history. Many of them came from individuals who lacked money, lacked a strong support system, and sometimes even lacked formal education. What they didn't lack was the ability to stretch their limited resources. They asked themselves, how can I use what's in front of me to move one step closer? Resourcefulness forces you to look beyond excuses. It pushes you into problem-solving mode instead of waiting for perfect conditions to arrive. The reality is, perfect conditions rarely exist. If you wait for the day when you have everything lined up exactly the way you imagine, you'll wait forever. Winners know that resourcefulness means getting started now, using what you have and adjusting as you go. A person who is resourceful is like water flowing downhill. No matter what obstacles are placed in the way, water finds a path around, under, or through. It doesn't stop when a rock blocks its flow. It simply adjusts direction until it keeps moving. That's how you must approach your challenges. When money is tight, find a way to learn for free. Use the internet, seek mentors, trade your skills for knowledge. When time is short, cut out distractions, prioritize what matters most, and squeeze productivity out of every moment. When you don't have support, lean on your own belief, affirm yourself daily, and prove to yourself that you can do it even when no one else sees the vision. This mindset of finding a way against the odds is what separates those who win from those who quit. Some people give up because they see what they don't have. They stare at their empty pockets, their lack of connections, or the closed doors in front of them, and they let discouragement win. But the winners, the ones who push through, look at the same situation and say, all right, I don't have much, but what can I do with what I've got? How can I turn this little into more? That shift in thinking is everything. It's not about focusing on lack, but on potential. It's about seeing possibilities where others see dead ends. That mindset multiplies opportunities because instead of waiting for you, create help. Instead of waiting for a blessing, you become the one to generate momentum. The great thing about resourcefulness is that it grows with use. The more you push yourself to solve problems with limited options, the sharper your mind becomes. You begin to see solutions faster. Your creativity expands. You stop being intimidated by setbacks because you know you have built the skill of adapting. That's why resourcefulness is such a powerful winning secret. It doesn't just help you in one moment. It shapes you into someone who can face any moment. Life will always throw challenges at you. There will always be moments when things don't go according to plan, when the support you expected isn't there, when the finances fall short. But if you have trained yourself to be resourceful, you will not break. You'll bend, you'll adjust, but you will keep moving forward. Sometimes people think they need more money or more resources to succeed. But what they really need is more imagination and determination. Imagine a person with all the money in the world, but no creativity, no drive, and no problem-solving skills. They will eventually lose what they have because they don't know how to make something out of nothing. Now imagine someone with nothing but a burning desire to win and the ability to think differently, to hustle, to keep trying new approaches. That person may start small, but their ability to create and adapt will eventually open doors money alone could never buy. Resourcefulness is the equalizer. It allows those with less to compete with those who seem to have more. Winning requires you to stop saying, I can't, because I don't have, and start saying, how can I with what I do have? That simple change in language rewires your brain. It shifts you from a victim mindset to a victim mindset to a victim mindset. Winners don't waste energy crying about what's missing. They invest energy into building with what's available. If you only have a little time, maximize it. If you only know one person, leverage that relationship. If you only have one idea, develop it until it grows into many. That's what resourceful people do. They stretch the small until it becomes something big. When you adopt this mindset, you stop being limited by circumstances. You realize that even though life may deal you a tough hand, you are still in control of how you play it. It's not about the cards, it's about the strategy. Winners know how to play a weak hand like it's strong because they refuse to quit and they refuse to waste energy wishing for different cards. They get creative, they take risks, they learn quickly, and they keep moving until the game shifts in their favor. At the heart of resourcefulness is resilience. It's the refusal to let a setback define you. It's the ability to take rejection, disappointment, or failure and turn it into fuel. Every no becomes a chance to find another yes. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. Every delay becomes an opportunity to prepare. People who win understand that being resourceful is about staying flexible, about not being so rigid in your plans that one obstacle destroys you. Instead, you bend, you pivot, and you keep advancing. So if you want to unlock the secret to winning, start training yourself to be resourceful. Stop saying you don't have enough. Stop waiting for the perfect chance. Look at what's already in your hands and start building. Ask yourself, how can I turn this into something more? What can I do right now with what I've got to move one step forward? That attitude, repeated day after day, creates momentum. And momentum creates breakthroughs. Winners are not always the ones with the best starting point, but they are always the ones with the strongest finishing drive. The truth is, resourcefulness is not just about survival, it's about thriving. It's about proving that no matter the limitations, you can still rise. It's about showing the world and yourself that you are not defined by what you lack, but by how you respond to what you lack. And when you live with that mindset, nothing can stop you. Because while resources can run out, resourcefulness is limitless. That's the real winning secret. Winning is never just about the final moment when the prize is handed to you or when the scoreboard confirms your victory. The real essence of winning is hidden in the secret that so many overlook, serving others. It might sound simple, but the most powerful and transformative path to lasting success is when you stop making the journey solely about yourself and start making it about the impact you leave behind. When you shift your perspective from what can I get to what can I give, to what can I give, something extraordinary happens inside of you. Your drive increases, your passion becomes deeper, and your victories take on meaning beyond personal satisfaction. The world remembers those who contributed, not just those who consumed. Serving others is not a weakness. It's the ultimate strength because it ensures that your legacy outlives your career, your reputation, and even your time on this earth. Think about the great leaders, innovators, and change makers throughout history. Their success wasn't measured just by the wealth they accumulated, the awards they won, or the fame they achieved. It was measured by the lives they touched, the people they uplifted, and the communities they transformed. They understood a truth most never grasp. True fulfillment doesn't come from hoarding victories, but from sharing them. You can be the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, but if all of that brilliance doesn't help another soul, your win becomes empty, forgotten when the spotlight fades. But when you use your gifts to lift someone else, your success multiplies, spreading into generations you may never even meet. There's something about serving others that builds resilience inside of you. When you live only for yourself, the smallest obstacles can feel overwhelming because everything is tied to your ego. But when you live for something greater, when your mission is about inspiring others, supporting your family, changing your community, or leaving behind a positive mark, suddenly failure loses its sting. You're no longer afraid to fall because you know you're not walking for yourself alone. You're carrying others with you, and that weight doesn't hold you back. It fuels you. Every rejection, every setback, every painful detour becomes easier to handle because you know someone else is counting on you to keep going. Serving transforms your struggle into a responsibility, and responsibility creates unstoppable drive. The beauty of service is that it redefines what success looks like. Instead of chasing numbers, trophies, or applause, you begin to value moments when someone says, "You changed my life," or "Because of you, I didn't give up." That kind of feedback doesn't fade like money or material possessions. It becomes fuel for your soul, proof that your life has meaning far beyond personal gain. And here's the irony. When you serve others with authenticity, the recognition, the opportunities, and the rewards often follow you naturally. People are drawn to those who give. Doors open for those who pour into others. It's like the universe conspires to elevate you because your elevation lifts everyone around you. Serving others also creates accountability. When you declare to yourself that your journey isn't just about you, you suddenly raise the standard of how you live and perform. You can't afford to be lazy when someone else's growth depends on your effort. You can't afford to quit when people are watching you to see what's possible for them. You can't lower your discipline when others are being inspired by your consistency. The weight of responsibility makes you sharper, more intentional, more disciplined than you would ever be if you were only living for yourself. That's why some of the most driven individuals are parents, coaches, teachers, mentors, people who have others depending on them. Service creates a fire in your heart that selfish ambition never could. There's another secret hidden in serving. It builds deep, unshakable relationships. When you serve, you earn loyalty. People remember those who poured into them, who believed in them when nobody else did. That kind of connection lasts longer than any title or achievement. Years from now, long after your career is over, people may not recall the details of your accomplishments, but they will never forget how you made them feel, how you inspired them, how you lifted them up when they felt invisible. And those relationships will carry your legacy forward, telling your story to others long after you're gone. But serving doesn't always look grand. It doesn't always mean donating millions, starting a foundation, or being in the spotlight. Sometimes it's as simple as encouraging someone who wants to quit, giving your time to mentor someone, sharing your knowledge freely, or setting an example of integrity and perseverance. Sometimes it's showing kindness when the world expects bitterness, or offering forgiveness when others would hold grudges. Small acts of service ripple outward, influencing lives in ways you may never see. The kid you encourage today might grow up to be a leader tomorrow. The colleague you help could later build something that changes the world. Service is planting seeds. You may not sit under the shade of every tree, but the forest will grow because you cared enough to plant. What makes serving the ultimate winning secret is that it keeps you grounded. Success can intoxicate people, making them arrogant or detached. But when you live with a mindset of service, humility keeps you steady. You don't see yourself as above others, but as someone walking alongside them, helping them rise too. That humility not only protects your character, but also attracts opportunities because people trust and respect those who remain authentic while lifting others. And here's the greatest irony of it all. When you focus on serving others, you often end up achieving more for yourself than you could have ever achieved by chasing personal gain alone. It's like a paradox of success. The more you give, the more you grow. The more you pour out, the more life pours back into you. The more you elevate others, the more your own life is elevated. That's the winning secret that so many miss. They chase after money, fame, recognition, or comfort, only to find themselves unfulfilled. But the ones who dedicate themselves to serving others walk away with something greater than all of that combined. Purpose is what makes you wake up early with energy, stay up late with determination, and keep fighting when everyone else has surrendered. Purpose is what makes the struggle worth it, the pain bearable, and the victory meaningful. And there's no greater source of purpose than knowing your life is improving the lives of others. That's why the true winners in life are not just those with medals, awards, or titles. They're the ones who leave behind our legacy of impact, a trail of people whose lives are better because they cross paths with them. If you want to unlock the secret to winning, don't make the story of your life about how much you can accumulate or how much applause you can gather. Make it about how many people you can serve, how many lives you can inspire, how many hearts you can touch. That's the victory that never fades. That's the prize no one can take away. And when you live this way, you won't just win. You'll redefine what winning really means. Because winning isn't about standing on the podium alone. It's about lifting others so high that they rise with you. And that, more than anything else, is the secret that separates temporary winners from those who win for eternity.